recorded with the same care that most of the Pink Floyd stuff has been done back down the line. I guess we ought to talk a little bit about earlier days, just for everybody that was joined Pink Floyd maybe at Dark Side of the Moon or something, because obviously you picked up a few people that you had not reached before when you did
one or two.
But before that, of course, when you replaced Sid back in '68, how did all that come about anyway?
What, replacing Sid? Well, I think the other guys, I mean, I knew all of them before that, and Sid was a friend of mine from some time before then, several years before then. And it became an impossible situation within the Pink Floyd working with Sid, so they decided they needed to get someone else in, and probably because they knew me, thought they could get on with me and that I could play a bit of guitar and sing. They thought they'd give it a try, and they asked me, and I said okay, understandably.
The evolution that brought you to the point where you are right now, starting with like that era, what did you like then? What did you get into? What did you listen to?
Oh, God knows, I can't remember what I was listening to in those days.
Was it rock and roll at all?
Oh, I've always been listening to rock and roll ever since I was 10.
Went to see Seeger last night.
Yes, I did, yeah.
You like Bob?
Yes, I think he's very good.
Well, that's a good example, because he's excellent rock and roll for the
He's
guy.
doing pretty good.
Yeah, that he is. He gave a good show last night. The progress of the music coming together and what have you, the way it's written, the way you do it. How does yours come to you?
My stuff on there. Well, I carry around a miniature tape cassette recorder all the time, and I pick up a guitar every day at some point and strum about on it, whether it be an acoustic or electric. Not really what you could call practicing, but every once in a while a little idea comes up and I stick it down on this little cassette player, which I have to hand most of the time. And it can either come out as a little idea with words together with music, or just a bit of a musical idea. And then I can just stick it down and forget about it again, and come back to that tape later on and listen to things and build them up from that point.
You just kind of glue things together and make the bits and pieces.
Yeah, that's right, that sort of thing. And
mostly guitar phrases, the lyrics?
Yeah, everything. I mean, just little ideas that come to mind. I mean, you sit and strum a guitar and suddenly something sounds good, and you want to remember it. Of course, I used to not remember any of them because I didn't used to have the cassette player, and I'd just say, well, I'll put that down shortly, and I never would, and I'd forget them, so...
You probably have great pieces that were thought of on many nights that are gone.
Yes,
never
absolutely.
be recalled.
Well, plenty more where they came from, so...
Do you feel like you've got a long time left in the biz?
I've got a long time left as a musician, I hope, yes. I don't know what else I'd do anyway. I mean, I know what else I'd do for a lot of the time, but I don't know what else I'd do to earn a buck and keep myself happy.
When you find yourself getting stale as far as writing or playing, what do you do to re-stimulate yourself?
Well, I don't really find myself getting stale. I hope to give myself little stimuli all the time. And,
what kind of lifestyle do you have? Is it the regular rock and roll rowdy, or?
No, I'm not. I don't know many people in the rock and roll business. I just live a fairly ordinary sort of life. A little house outside London. I go out to the odd rock and roll show once in a while, but not terribly often.
Are you planning to tour as a solo?
I have got that in mind, but the time it would take to set it up and get that particular ball rolling would be longer than the time I have available to me at the moment. So it would interfere with the work that I hope that we're going to start to do with the Pink Floyd come, say, September.
The fact that Pink Floyd has been more or less a faceless band of sorts, and now all of a sudden with the advent of your solo album, you know, you're out talking to folks, you know. Like I would never have thought I'd had a chance to meet you and sit down and ramp like this. It's really something.
Well, we are like that to a certain extent, and it's a very valuable thing to us to retain privacy. It's a valuable thing to me, but that also means that my name and stuff is not particularly well known on its own without Pink Floyd stamped after it. So that's what I'm out here doing, is to try and get people to listen to that. I mean, I don't want the Face to get any better known than it is already, particularly because that means a loss of my privacy.
You still have pretty much privacy outside?
Yes,
folks,
I do.
And obviously know you inside.
Yes, I do. It's very valuable. I wouldn't want that to change too much. I mean, I'm not in it to put my own face and ego across to people too much.
You do it for the money?
Well, everyone wants to earn a buck, but that's not my prime motivation. I'm not going to say no.
It's the music?
Yes. I mean, that's what I do it for, is the music. Studio, which we've had built quite recently in London. And I did all the preliminary stuff and the demo stuff for my album there, but I did the actual recording of my album in France at a studio called Super Bear near Nice, which is an East Lake studio, which is and has the same type of equipment that we have in our studio, so I'm kind of used to it.
Mm-hmm. Do you personally feel like Pink Floyd may have peaked, or do you think there's bigger things down the road for the group?
Well, financially and in terms of success, God knows. I mean, we may easily have peaked for all I know, but in terms of what we can do, that's not over with. I think we can still do better stuff. As far as my own personal criteria are concerned.
Well, the music that's been recorded by Pink Floyd obviously stands as the best in rock, with the best of all that has been recorded. What about the future? Have you got stuff already recorded for your next album, or is that yet to be recorded? Or
no, we're going to start recording it probably around September. We haven't fixed that for definite yet, but I imagine we will do that. We haven't got any specific agreed on plan of what we're going to do when we get there yet.
Are the other band members doing their individual projects?
Well, yes, they are doing individual projects, not all musical ones. Rick's doing a solo album, and Roger's been talking about doing one just lately, but he hasn't actually made it yet. And Nick's into racing cars and races vintage motor cars, does all that sort of stuff. And he's done a lot of production lately. He's produced a couple of albums quite recently, one for a punk group and one for Steve Hillage.
Did he do the Green album?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's a good album. Quite good. It's only on import here, I think.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's really American released yet. Do you take interest in producing other people?
I have produced other people, but it's not one of my main lines, if you like. It's not one of the main things that I do or want to do.
Brought up an interesting subject a second ago. What about punk rock?
What about punk rock? There's some good in everything. There's some good will come out of it somewhere, I'm sure. I mean, there are one or two people in it that are pretty good. But
who would they be?
Well, I think Johnny Rotten's quite talented in his way. But most of the rest of it is dross. And I don't know who else I wouldn't call Elvis Costello or Tom Robinson punk, but all particularly new wave or anything, but they're quite good.
Elvis has made quite an impact.
Well, he's a great media figure, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He does do good music and stuff, but the media just love him. He's a real media symbol. Yeah.
He's really excellent. You joined Columbia Records.
We did.
A while back, and things seem to be going as well as ever. the questions that I could ask from here on out. I don't know. I'm interested to know, like what's your direction for the overall thing? Is there any video in your future? What about television as a medium? It's so hot for so many people, and yet Pink Floyd hasn't really.
We haven't really got into it. I mean, I don't know.
Cured by Clouds. What, like with the movie that was involved with that. I never got to see that.
Well, we didn't have anything to do with the movie itself. We just sort of were asked to do music for it.
Was it good?
What? The film?
Movie. Yeah, the film.
Well, we did it more for friendship because the guy who made it is a friend of ours, and for the movie itself. I mean, it's not brilliant. It's okay. It's not my favourite movie, but it's very, the guy who made it is a very nice guy and a friend of ours. And
we got a copy of David's album here with us, and I was just looking earlier at some of the pictures that you've got in here. Who are some of these folks, anyway?
Well, they're basically the guys who were on it with me in various stages of age and decomposition.
I don't think we've talked about those fellows yet.
There's the two guys called Rick Wills and Willie Wilson who have both been playing in groups for some time. Willie played with Sullivan Brothers and Quiver. Rick has been with Peter Frampton, been with Roxy Music and the Small Faces and Kevin Ayres, a couple of other people over the years. But we were together in a group, as you can see from that photo there, when we were all teenagers, about 16, 17.
What was the name of this band?
We were called Jokers Wild around then, I guess, back in Cambridge. So basically those photos, some of them are of us at very young ages, and some of them are of us more recently.
Does your music have, is there anything you can say about any of these songs in particular that would be, when you write your stuff, is it...
Well, I don't know what I could say about them, really. They're songs,
No particular meanings about Mother or anything tied in? They're just tunes that you write?
Yeah, I mean, there are meanings behind them, but they're not things that I could or care to go into, really. You'd have to work them out for yourselves.
Well, I think we will probably be doing that for some time to come as we get through you're going to do other solo albums, obviously, so I guess we will look forward to other solo albums as well.
I had a terrific time making it. Like, great fun. So,
and I'd like to ask you this question, because everybody immediately, when I put the album on the air, wanted to know, is Pink Floyd breaking up or something? And so I said, no, I understand David is just doing his own album, but from you, they might like to hear it.
We worked together so much. I mean, the first 7 years or so of our existence together, we worked all the time. And after that point, we decided we didn't need to do it like that anymore. We didn't need to work together so hard as we had been working. So we take time off from each other these days, because that way, when we do get to work together, we really want to. And so nowadays we take time off from each other so that we can get into doing anything that we want to do individually, which means all sorts of things: producing other people, motor racing, whatever, whatever any one of us wants to do at any given time. And that means that when we get back together, we'll work all the harder and feel all the better for it. And this is the way I do it at this particular moment. It's a broadening out process for me. It gives me more scope. It lets me be the dictator for once in a while, instead of compromising with 4 people.
You really feel like this is purely you inside this album, then?
Well, I'm...
As close as possible.
As close as possible, I mean, I got the chance to sit down and write all the stuff, record all the stuff, make all the decisions, and not have to please anyone else except myself, which is something that's very good to do sometimes, not all the time.
David, I personally want to say thank you on behalf of all the KNAC listening audience, who I am sure has enjoyed this little chat with you. I want to wish you best of luck on your solo career, on your solo album, and your solo tour if you decide to do that. And of course, everybody will be looking forward to Pink Floyd's going back into the studio and producing another album. And, of course, third sure if that comes around. Whichever, best of luck to you, and thank you again.